What's up, guys? How's everyone doing? Welcome back to the Metal Motors 92Y8 channel, but please call me Metal. Today, we are going to talk about the Hunter Biden situation and the IRS whistleblowers who came through with the whole thing. So, for those who aren't aware of the situation, there's this whole thing circling around the news about certain incriminating information on Hunter Biden's laptop that was actually found by a computer shop owner by the name of John Paul Mac Isaac in 2019. But it wasn't until 2020 when reports started to emerge. However, it didn't become as big in the news until this year. So actually, it was only recently when the case started to reemerge, albeit with much more coverage than before. That's because Hunter Biden was actually sent to court for the situation on the morning of July 26th of this year, so actually a few days ago. Anyways, Hunter Biden was actually supposed to plead guilty in the court, but the judge delayed the plea as the judge had concerns about the terms of the agreement. Here's the news report I found from Good Morning America about this whole issue.
Drama in the courtroom. The judge in the Hunter Biden case put his deal to plead guilty to tax and gun charges on hold, subjected attorneys from both sides to 3 hours of questioning about the agreement. Senior national correspondent Terry Marin is at the courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, George. This morning, the big question for prosecutors and for Hunter Biden's attorneys is, now what? They thought they had a deal, one that would have closed the books for good on the many legal problems of the president's son. But in a wild, contentious 3-hour plea hearing, federal judge Mary Ellen Noriega picked apart their unusual deal, and she blew it up.
This morning, for the first time, we are seeing the details of the deal Hunter Biden struck with prosecutors before it collapsed in court. In court documents obtained by Politico and a source with direct knowledge confirming their authenticity with ABC News, prosecutors promised the president's son legal immunity for any other crimes that might be covered by information uncovered by the investigation, including lavish spending and various business deals.
Okay, I don't know about you, but if I were a judge and someone gave me a plea deal with this type of agreement, then yeah, I would question it and probably just strike it down if I'm being honest, especially with what we are about to see here.
In 2017, Hunter receiving over $1.6 million from Chinese companies, some $666,000 from domestic business interests, $500,000 from a Ukrainian energy company, and money from a Romanian business and a multinational law firm. The document adds that in 2018, Biden continued to earn handsomely and spend wildly while in the throes of addiction, amassed another $2.6 million in income, and essentially ignored his tax obligations.
You know, with a normal citizen, if they were caught doing what he was doing here, they'd be punished with the fullest extent of the law. They'd be put away for a long time, if not for life. There have been cases of people spending life in prison for weed, so it's not unreasonable to think that. Anyways, right?
Hunter Biden's lawyers had reached the deal with the U.S. Attorney for Delaware, David Weiss, who was appointed by former President Donald Trump but kept in place by President Biden. Under the terms, Hunter Biden agreed to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges, and prosecutors agreed not to prosecute him for a felony count of illegal possession of a firearm as long as he met conditions like staying drug-free.
Yeah, imagine if a normal citizen was charged with an illegal possession of a firearm. They'd get a felony charge. Yet here he is, trying to use the Second Amendment to save himself while he and his father are preaching about gun control and all that crap. I'm so done with this hypocrisy. I really am. I just can't believe people would even defend this, and there apparently have been idiots who would actively defend this. Ugh.
But from the start of the hearing, federal judge Mary Ellen Noriega poked holes in that deal, calling it atypical, even questioning whether it was constitutional. Noriega, also appointed by Trump, peppered both sides with questions that drove at one key issue: whether Hunter Biden would be granted immunity from prosecution for other possible crimes. When a prosecutor said no, Biden's lawyer shot back, then the deal was null and void, sparking gasps in the courtroom.
I have to thank God the judge made the right call here. I'm sorry, but she did. Like, why the hell are citizens all over the country being put in jail and having felonies on their records for drugs and guns while he gets to walk out with 2 misdemeanors while having a load of other serious crimes on top of that. No, that is absolutely not okay. And you know what? The mask is off here. I think the war on drugs is an absolute travesty and should end no matter what people say. It's done more harm than good. I'm sorry, but there's no good argument against that claim. Not only does putting people in prison for drugs inspire corruption in our government, but it also creates crime in our streets because of the gangs and cartels selling them, who then get these same government officials who tell you that drugs are bad to your face on their payroll. Sorry, I haven't been able to speak lately. Anyways, you see where I'm going with this? Also, if we did the same with guns, the same thing will happen and is happening now. Anyways,
With the deal falling apart in real time, both sides huddled on and off for negotiations, sometimes right out in open court. One of Biden's lawyers even heard telling prosecutors this is, quote, really bad for everyone and threatening to rip the deal up. Through it all, Hunter Biden appeared visibly agitated, his future hanging in the balance as prosecutors made clear their investigation is ongoing. After 3 hours of back and forth, Judge Noriega deferred the deal for now, telling both sides she would not be a rubber stamp and acknowledging the little bit of a curveball that she'd thrown into the proceedings.
So now the judge has given both sides 30 days to come up with a deal she will approve if they can. And the White House, they're deflecting questions on this. The press secretary is saying that Hunter Biden is a private citizen and this is a personal matter. George?
I don't know. Given he's the president's son and everything that's been going on, especially with Ukraine, I think we have every reason to ask questions. Makes you wonder why they are deflecting them in the first place. So anyways, there was this hearing on the whole Hunter Biden investigation sometime before this whole court thing took place. And there were two whistleblowers from the IRS, one of them actually being a Democrat himself, and they actually spoke against this issue, and they actually faced some serious scorn from one of the House Oversight Committee members, with him basically asking the same question. Just take a look.
Morte from Illinois for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Shapley. Thank you, Mr. Ziegler, for your service to this country. Really appreciate you coming here and appearing in this capacity. First of all, Mr. Ziegler, I see at page 12 of your transcript, deposition transcript, you start laying out a series of concerns that you had with regard to various people and different issues related to this investigation. You say, quote, I started this investigation in November 2018 after reviewing bank deposits. Then you later say, career IRS staff were not initially supportive of starting the investigation. Of course, in November 2018, Joe Biden was not the president, correct?
Joe Biden was not the president, correct.
And then at page 20, you lay out another concern. You had a concern about Bill Barr, Attorney General Bill Barr, consolidating these series of cases into the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware. At that point, you said, quote, what was the potential issue I saw with working the case in Delaware? We were working with a small U.S. Attorney's Office who might not have ever worked a case of this caliber. Now, of course, Bill Barr was appointed by Donald Trump, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Now, let me turn to another concern that you lay out in your testimony. You were concerned about the quality of the prosecutors. On page 14, you say, quote, the prosecutors were the JV squad, and they weren't up to the task of handling such a big case. Now, sir, U.S. Attorney Weiss was also appointed by Donald Trump, right?
So as far as the actual nomination and what went into why...
I'm not asking you why. I'm just saying USA Weiss was appointed by Donald Trump, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, another concern you lay out in your deposition at page 21, you talk about your concerns about this investigation having been made overt, being publicized for the world to know. You said, quote, one of the first disagreements I recall between the IRS investigators and prosecutors was the idea of going public. Now, sir, this was in March, April 2019. Joe Biden was not the president then, was he?
Well, the rest of the clip is just him repeating the question of Joe Biden being president at the time one of the IRS whistleblowers, Joe Ziegler, was conducting the investigation. Sorry for playing that clip for so long, but there was a lot of context that I felt like was important for this situation. That was ironically being explained by the guy who kept on repeating the question of whether or not Biden was president at the time the whistleblower started the investigation. Sorry, I had to take a breather after how long that sentence was. Also, if you made it this far into the video, comment president down below and you'll get a free heart by commenting that down below. But anyways, I'm going to skip to where one of the whistleblowers actually answers the question after the 300th time this guy friggin' asked.
Please, you may answer the question.
So, it's clear that he was not the president, but an election is for the purpose of electing a president. And Joe Biden at the time was a nominee for president of the United States. Therefore, the election clauses with DOJ policy took place and were in effect. And it wasn't until September 4th of 2020 that the Department of Justice Public Integrity said that we can no longer take any actions on that case. And in as early as April to June of 2020, the Department of Justice, Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office, was already invoking the election as a reason not to perform those search warrants.
Okay.
And that was Donald
and
Trump's
gentlemen's
DOJ.
time's expired.
So yeah, I really don't know what the point is of even asking whether or not someone was president during the time of a case. Well, actually, I do. I think he was trying to deflect the situation at hand. Well, what else was he trying to do? He and his party members have painted a pretty good picture of what it is. And to give you an idea, here's actually a YouTube Shorts clip of the two whistleblowers being interviewed after this hearing.
What was your experience like yesterday, Joe? What did you make of it?
So, yeah, from my perspective, being someone who has liberal beliefs, and I am a Democrat, but I was kind of disappointed. I was kind of disappointed that the other side of the aisle didn't care about what we came there to say. Gary and I, essentially, we're just trying to do the right thing for the right reason. And at the end of the day, there were some things that happened as a part of this investigation. I think it's important for the American people to make that decision, for Congress to weigh the facts. They're going to investigate this, and we'll see where those facts lay out. And I think it's that's the thing that struck me the most from yesterday, is that it seemed like that there were certain people that really didn't care what we had to present to Congress, and that disappointed.
Now, I don't know much about these guys, but given who they are working for, in my opinion, on our tax system as a whole, this seems more of one of those anti-villain versus the real villain situations, if you know what I mean. Like, these whistleblowers, while their hearts might be in the right place, they are still working for a not-so-moral government agency enforcing a not-so-moral tax system. But either way, I'm glad someone's putting light to this situation because it seems really serious, especially the business deals, which may or may not change the situation of everything that's been going on. But the thing is, the Bidens have been getting away with so much for so long, and I feel like it's time his son gets karmic justice, what he and his father have been advocating for in this country. Same with Joe Biden, if I'm being honest. Excuse me for that stutter right there. Now, I'm probably going to get a bunch of morons saying that, oh, you're just a Republican MAGA Trump supporter. Meow, 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 meow. Like, bro, even if these guys were Republicans, my opinion on them wouldn't change. I don't think like that. I don't judge a person based on the political label attached to them. I judge them by their character and what they stand for. And let me just say, I don't like what Joe Biden and his son and the family as a whole stands for or their character. There, I said it. That's it for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to see more content of mine. Also, go to my channel page to take a look at my Instagram to submit a story through Instagram DMs. And my Patreon if you want to support me further as a creator, since YouTube won't let me have links in the description till I have a number of subscribers, for those who weren't aware. Anyways, peace out.